Alrighty, 7-1, no new vocab. Just a reminder, we've got the steps here, right? We're going to refer to those as we go through. First one thing is probably to, we're going to solve for n here. And remember that we need to copy the problem down correctly. And the thing after the 15 there, right here, is actually it's a period because it's a statement solved for this, right? So anyway, to remember, first thing is write it down correctly. Now this one we can see there's no distributive property. This one doesn't have any like terms to combine over here or on this side. Later on we will add those things. So we're going to start with add and subtract to get the variable on one side and the equal sign and the constants on the other side. Remember, constants are numbers by themselves. So what I want to do is move this 6 over to here, and notice it's subtracted. So obviously, if it's subtracted, we're going to go into the opposite operation and add the 6. Add the 6. So 3n equals, so this is gone, 21. And now I look at it like it's a fresh new problem each time, right? Like it's a brand new thing. And so we're going to move on. There's no more add and subtract, but there's multiply and divide. And so this is currently means 3 times n. Over here is just 21. So I'm going to want to divide off the 3 because it means 3 times. So I want to divide off the 3. Divide off the 3. 3's go away. N equals 21 divided by 3 is 7. So now you do still have to do the check, right? And that's that last step there is your check. So let's move some things out of the way here. Oh, those kind of grabbed together, didn't they? That's fine. We'll move them out of the way here. So again, our answer is 7. And the check says, okay, take your original equation and plug your answer back in. So I'm going to take 3. Oops, I need a pen here. There we go. 3 times 7. Yeah, let me erase that, make it look a little nicer. And I'm going to move this even farther out of the way. There we go. So 3 times 7 minus 6, does that equal 21? That's your big question. Well, 3 times 7, no. Does that equal 15? Oh, for Pete's sake, people. Does that equal 15? There we go. So 3 times 7 is 21. So 21 minus 6, again, does that 15? And you betcha it is. So our answer of n equals 7 was correct. Alrighty, so head into class kick, and I've got a few for you there. Please ask questions if you need them, and please check your answers back here in the video. Alrighty, you can see I've got the answer in the lower right already for you, just in case you've got it and you can move on here. So we've got 15x plus 3 equals 48. So looking at our steps, did you write it down correctly? Now you can see there's no distributive property and there's no like terms to combine. So we're going to move on to the add and subtract phase. So subtract 3 from both sides. That gives me 15x equals 45. And this was a 48 if I remember correctly there, right? Equals 45. So 48 minus 3. There's nothing else to add or subtract, so I'm down to the multiply divide phase. So divide off that 15 from both sides. So x equals 3. That's what we're looking for there. And again, your check will bear that out. So 15 times 3 plus 3 equals, 15 times 3 is 45 plus 3. And that does indeed equal 48. So our answer was correct. The other one you had to do, again, copy it down correctly. Then go ahead and double check. Is there any distributive property? If there's not, then move on to the next one. Is there any like terms combined? There are not, so I'm going to move on to the next one. And so we're down to the add subtract phase, so go ahead and add 10 to both sides. Add 10 to both sides. So I get t over 4 equals, so negative 6 plus 10. Little ninja battle there, gives me a positive 4. Then we go back and we multiply off the 4, because this means t divided by 4. Multiply off the 4. Multiply off the 4. 4's are gone, so t equals 16. Something I saw on Facebook the other day I want to share with you here. Somebody told me that the division sign, right? So you think of a fraction, right? So 10 over 2 means 10 divided by 2, right? Somebody said that the division sign is the fraction bar with dots in place of the numbers, so you know that this means 10 divided by 2, because the 10 divided by 2 thing. I don't know, thought it was kind of clever. I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought it was clever. Go ahead and keep watching for more examples from me. Okay, so now here's the thing. This is the first time I think we're going to have like a negative in front of a variable. I want you to remember, by the way, this means -1 times x, right? So now here's a couple things to watch out for as we're doing this. You got to look out for the fact that obviously I'm gonna subtract this 5. Now look at here. Just because there's a minus sign here doesn't mean I have to add this 5. Look in front of the 5. There's nothing there, meaning it's positive, so I have to subtract to get rid of it. Something else too is once I do that, do not lose the negative sign in front of the x. So let's see how this problem looks. Obviously it's copied down correctly. There's no distributive property. There's no like terms to combine. So it means I move on to this idea of I need to subtract that 5 from both sides. Subtract the 5. Again, look in front of the number. There's nothing there. Therefore, I'm going to subtract to get rid of it. Don't lose the negative in front of your x. So negative x, or the opposite of x, equals 12. 17 minus 5 is 12. Now, it looks like, oh, I'm done. Technically, this means -1 times x. So it means I have to divide both sides by -1. So x equals, so 12 divided by -1 is -12. I do expect you to finish that. Don't leave it 1 or 12 over -1. That's not proper form, and I will take off points for that. So that's what that one looks like. Pause, go ahead and head on into Class Kick. You've got a couple there. And remember, I'll be watching. Ask all the questions you want. So on here, we look in front of that 6, and we see it's a plus sign. So now we get to subtract that 6 from both sides. Subtract that 6 from both sides. And you're going to draw the line you can there. Don't lose the negative in front of your a. So the opposite of a equals 2. Again, taking a look here, we don't want the opposite of a, right? We want a. So divide off that -1. So a equals -2. This one has a little more fun going on. Look in front of that 9. There's a negative sign, so I'm going to have to add to get rid of it. So add 9 to both sides. This goes away, so don't lose the negative sign here. So -1y divided by 7 equals -3, right? Because -12 plus 9 is -3. Go ahead and there's nothing else to add or subtract. You don't add the y. I'm gonna make this one step. You might think this is kind of cool. I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to multiply off a -7. A -7. The reason being is that, well, I could just multiply off the 7 first and then divide off the -1. But if you think about it, dividing by -1 and multiplying by -1 is the same thing. So I'm going to save myself a little bit of work there. So this goes away, along with the negative sign here. So y equals -3 times -7 is a positive 21. There you go. We're going to practice a lot of these. So make sure you ask questions, folks. Please do.